I was coaching you guys up on interpersonal relationships and not just staring at screens. And look at you guys, so coachable.
So, good morning. Obviously, things
Thank
can
you.
change.
Good morning to you.
Thank you, Mike. Obviously, things can change. So, with Jeff Wilson, I know Monday the thinking was that it wasn't too serious. He could have played. What happened to him, or what subsequently was determined to require the IRing of Jeff Wilson? And do you expect him back in October or November?
You know, those timelines are individualized, and we kind of let the people go through the requisite rehabilitation from things of, really it was kind of a sneaky situation for Jeff Wilson because it was a midsection injury compounded by some finger issues, and then really like we just made the assessment that he couldn't protect himself the way that and really be himself the way we know him to be. So time is the best healer. Knowing Jeff, his true passion for in life is to play this game. So he'll do everything he can, and I definitely wouldn't be surprised if he would make a return this season. But we'll let his body tell us.
Mike, and knowing Jeff the way that we do, how did he take that news? But I mean, crushed? Did he take it in stride?
Well, I think he understood exactly the thought process. That those are his injuries are not ideal for someone that is in their job description. Someone's trying to tackle them every play. So, I think he just wants to be back on the field himself, the best version of himself, which he's capable of doing. It's one of those things that through our conversation, he totally understood where we're coming from, and he's just focused on when he is back on the field, how he's going to be prepared, and like the true professional he is.
How ready physically and mentally do you think the rookie Devon Achane will be when the Los Angeles game comes?
We shall see. I think it's sooner rather than later. In regard to next week, we have 4 opportunities to sharpen our axe, as it would be, and I would expect him to be available to be prepared for or to get some prep work before that game. So timelines are always fluid, but with regard to him, I am. I think him and his teammates are very confident in his competitive play, and he's been playing football for his whole life. The good news is he got a ton of reps. So in the spring and training camp. So not too worried about that with him.
Same thing for Savon. I know you said he's day-to-day, but is he on track to be able to return to practice next week?
Yeah, I believe, I would anticipate seeing him today in practice, and if not today, if there's any whisper of a potential setback, then the beginning of next week. But he's, we were being very deliberately cautious with him as he has proven his growth on the field, both in practice and in the preseason games.
Elijah Campbell avoiding IR. Are there encouraging signs that he can return sooner than anticipated? And same thing for Justin Bethel.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason that they're not on IR is you're expecting them sooner rather than later in the first quarter of the season. But we'll exactly what game and what time will be determined. But we feel like they didn't necessitate any sort of IR consideration. After doing our due diligence.
Can you talk a little bit about Braxton Berrios, what you saw with him throughout training camp, and now what you expect out of him heading into the season?
I think the league is very aware of him as a returner, and he proved to us every practice and his opportunities why that's the case. From a coaching perspective, what's been real fun to watch is his development and ascension within the offense. I think he's always been a good football player, but at this time in his career, he really understands the timing and spacing of this offense, especially for a first-year player. I think it did help, that he was in a similar system with a guy that I worked with in New York, but I think there's a rapport that has been developed with the quarterbacks in him that makes me excited for the upcoming future. I know he's excited as I can see his smiling face every day in team meetings.
Mike, was there a factor that stood out above others in the decision to keep Julian Hill over the other young tight ends like Tanner and Elijah?
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks more to what we think about Julian than less of Elijah. I prioritize earning your position at work, and Chris Greer does too. So that was a intense competition that you get a lot of moments to evaluate. It wasn't a crazy distinction, in terms of again, it's not to speak lowly of Elijah. It's more to it's really about Julian's ability to really come from a small school and develop each and every day to the point that we thought that he earned the trust of his teammates and the coaches, how he competed and how he fit within the team. But that was a close competition. But again, we it's an inexact science, the whole draft process in general, and so you can go one of two ways when you're making those type of decisions, and we are steadfast on allowing the players while they're here to make those decisions for us.
You've mentioned in the past all the kind of clerical non-football aspects that come with being a head coach. Now that you have a game plan to draw up and get to go put a whistle on and coach football, how pumped up are you for the first regular season game next week?
It never gets old. It's always you feel that same momentum build just because it's such a long process. You're identifying the things that you can work on. You're identifying the people that can best put players in position for success. Then you're going through free agency and the draft. Then you're practicing religiously day in, day out for this opportunity. So there's a lot of buildup. And, every year, week 8 feels pretty similar. Every year, week 1 feels pretty similar. You get into you get used to the habits that come with the NFL grind that is the NFL season. But there's still that build up. There's still that unique feeling that you get week 1, where it's like, wow, this is why you do it. There's a lot of hours comprised of preparation from a meeting room standpoint, from all of the things that are required of an NFL player, coach, and team, and then it's just a culmination of it. So it's a pretty exciting process that never gets old.
Mike, I've got a question and a follow-up about the locker room. We got in there yesterday for the first time this season. I'm going to assume you liked your process of last year of mixing up, groups. What did you see, either obvious or subtle, as a benefit of doing that last year?
Well, I thought that every team's different, so I try to look at everything from a clean slate each and every year, and what I did feel from my own really educated guesses, and then from exit interviews from the players, is that the desired effect was to intermingle the team, to have the team more connected. One of the big things that goes on in the life of an NFL player is you're constantly funneled with your position group to different things during the day, whether you're going to a group meeting, and you generally sit next to each other close to your coach, or then you go to a position meeting, which is just your position. I think, on NFL Sundays, position groups don't win games, teams do. So the more that you can get connected to your teammates, the better. And it's amazing the things, if you really accumulate all the time spent in the locker room, at your locker, if you accumulate that at the end of the season, it's a ton of time. So guys know more about each other, and that's kind of the whole idea behind it, is you invest in your teammates, while not on screens. And fortunately, they're as coachable as you guys are.
Do you personally do the seating chart, or does somebody else? You do. Okay.
I do.
Do you take anything into account?
Oh, a lot of things. And what I did learn this year is that I'm not. There's not a decision that I can make. It's like not in my body to just copy paste. So there was different things that inspired certain locker room assignments it was very different knowing all the guys so much better than I did last year. So there's different impulses and directives that I don't even tell those guys why. So I think I'll stop at that.
We talked a little. Go ahead, Daniel.
No, I was saying I know
You guys are just fighting over. This is great.
Go first, Cam.
I think no. It's who speaks the loudest. Okay, go. Oh, okay.
Mike, you talked a little bit about Jeff and Savon and Devon earlier. Raheem's the other guy in that room. He's been pretty healthy this offseason. What have you seen from him as he prepares for a healthier year than maybe he had last offseason?
Outstanding focus. It's been really, I couldn't highlight a guy in a better light to, someone that's directly heard a ton of noise for months and months and months. And it's almost like every day that it's loud, you see extra focus. And that's, it epitomizes the journey of an NFL player. We're in a very fortunate business to have to be able to do the things we do on the stage we do and be compensated the way we are. However, it comes at a cost, and that's a lot of people having opinions that directly or indirectly relate to you, and you can't control that at all. And I think the sooner that you open your eyes to that, the better. So, to have a guy like Raheem, who I've had such a cool journey with, and to watch him work is the exact thing that you have to do in this business at some point in time. Look, we're all earning our day-to-day, not entitled to anything, and he shows it exactly that with how he carries himself. I'm so proud of him as a professional. Just another reason why I have such a strong human connection with that player.
I know last Sunday you said that you were waiting to inform Mike and Skylar who would be the number 2 before you let us know, but there's also some kind of unclear spots in terms of left guard, starting safety, cornerback. Have you made decisions, and if so, are you able to share that with us?
No, that's why we practice. You know, there are some. You can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it like, there's some unclear circumstances with the position, or you can look at, well, there's a couple guys at least at those positions that are deserving of one spot. So it's not typically the way you draw it up, but at the same time, it's not necessarily a bad thing either. You know, those things, you know, they can go all the way up into the season. There can be rotations, or it can be solidified today, tomorrow, the next week. You know, you just go with the best intent, and we're fortunate to have a roster of depth, and it's not because there's lacking in our particular situation that's the case. It's more that there's competition that's very very close, and you want to do right by the team and the individuals.
How do you want these guys to approach these next 3 days off? Do you tell them get off your feet? Do you tell them, you know, some of the guys said they're going to keep on working because they don't want to ratchet it down to ratchet back up?
No, I think that it's a balance of both. First and foremost, I want to protect the team, and that goes along the lines of everything. That's kind of why I use that phrase, because you know, part of protecting the team is to make sure that you're in the premier spot to go through the rigors of the NFL season, and that's tailored to each and every person. There's some guys that are wore out earning the job that need the rest. I think that's player to player, but I think overall the only way that you can kind of surmise that is how your game and where you're at affects the rest of the team and each and every person within the organization and the fan base, and you hold that responsibility in a high regard, so that, you know, it's case by case. Some guys do need to stay off their feet because of the rigors. Some guys need to stay in shape because that's their edge that they've built up on and they don't want to lose.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Mike.